He drives, it's lit.
Welcome to Sports Night in Auburn.
Gone deep to the left.
Welcome to Sports Night in Auburn.
Sideline going to the
Welcome to Sports Night in Auburn.
And welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn.
Getting fast food is relatively easy, right? Quick, fast, simple. Sometimes, though, your order gets messed up, they forget the fries, and you get stuck waiting maybe a little longer than expected. Still get the win, get the food at the end of the day, but it was a bit more frustrating than maybe it should have been. Auburn men's basketball felt that same irritation in the first round game of the NCAA tournament on Thursday. Welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn. My name is Vince Wolfram. Last time Auburn played in Lexington at Rupp Arena, Auburn won the SEC regular season title and put a whooping on Kentucky by 16 points. Since that game, Auburn lost 3 of its last 4 games, and the uncertainty swarmed. 16-seed Alabama State was the round of 64 draw for Auburn to start the NCAA tournament. Miles Kelly helped Auburn get out to an early 18-8 lead in just 7 minutes of action. Fast forward to the 148 mark in the first half, Auburn was only up by 1 point. Auburn scored 3 points in 7 minutes. A scary lapse for Auburn fans tuning into round 1. Second half, Auburn thugged it out. Miles Kelly hit 8 threes on the game. Todd Pettiford had 16 points. Janai Broome had a double-double. And Chaney Johnson got back into double figures for the first time in weeks. 83-63 the final. Auburn over Alabama State. And after the game, the term calling out was the one that kept being thrown around. Stephen Pearl, Cardwell, and head coach Bruce Pearl all weren't pleased with the eventual victory and did not hold back in expressing their displeasure. Here is Coach Pearl. Take a listen.
Yeah, you know, it's we've all talked about it. I talked about it in my post game. Stephen talked about it in the radio post game. Dylan Cardwell talked about it. What we do does not work without tremendous effort and energy. It's not that our guys didn't have effort and energy. It's just that you would say, and I don't mind saying this, that on most nights, Auburn is going to play harder than their opponent. Many people have said it. I insist upon it. But it doesn't always happen. And so one of the things we try to send a message to our guys yesterday is, look, what we do is not going to work unless we are, put forth just a different level. Like, for example, in covering Creighton, they're going to play 5 or 6 guys who are in the best shape of their lives, and they're going to go forever. And they play really, really hard. And if we don't match that, we're not going to be successful. So it was a calling out, and we call each other out all the time. We hold each other accountable. It wasn't that we didn't have effort and energy. We just didn't have the kind of effort and energy that we're used to playing with and that we need to play with.
Simply put, the best thing that resulted from the Alabama State game was a trip to the round of 32, something this Auburn program was unable to do in last year's tournament. Auburn met the winner of the 8-9 game in the South region, the Creighton Blue Jays. Head coach Greg McDermott had reached the Sweet 16 3 of the previous 4 years, and Auburn wanted to put that stretch to rest. Game started fast. Creighton came out firing on just about every cylinder. Jackson McAndrew sunk a couple of threes off the rip, part of Creighton's 9 first-half triples. Auburn then went into the second half just down 3, though, saving grace there. The halftime adjustment, give the ball to Chad Baker-Mazara. It worked, and it worked fast. 9 straight from CB in just 12 second-half minutes, in addition to a big offensive showing from Todd Pettiford and a dagger, night-night, send-em-home bucket from Denver Jones. 82-70, Auburn advances to the Sweet 16 for the first time since 2019. Now, that call-out, it must have worked, right? I talked with Todd Pettiford, Chaney Johnson, and Chad Baker-Mazara about it after the game, and it sounded like the bad chapter had ended and the page had been turned.
We needed it. It was a wake-up call for the team. Again, something else, another meeting that we needed. Got couple guys were slacking. So just like a wake-up call, he wasn't really trying to get on us. Just, it's like the love. He loves us. He wants the best for us. And we all have the same goal. So if he has to do that to get us in the same state of mind, then do it every day. Oh, it definitely worked. It definitely worked.
I mean, you could take it 2 ways. Somebody could get down and get to arguing, or you could just be a man and take the criticism like a man. I feel like we got a bunch of men on this team that took the criticism real well, and it showed on the court.
It was good, especially since Dylan called all of us out the other day. I feel like the whole squad received the message the right way, and we came out there and did what we had to do.
People think that we're getting away from who we were, and we kind of did. We all noticed it, so we tried to get back to ourselves and play like the Auburn that we were in the beginning of the year.
The first and second round both ended in wins for Auburn, but were two completely different games. Micah Farmer is with me in the studio now. Micah, we were at both of these games up in Lexington, and the energy certainly shifted from game 1 to game 2. Did you feel the same, and what difference did you feel in these two games?
Well, you mentioned the different energy there, Vince, and I think that was a huge deal in the game versus Creighton. Auburn just came out like they wanted it in the Creighton game, something that I didn't see a ton of versus Alabama State, especially in the second half versus Creighton. There was an attitude of, we are going to the Sweet 16, we are going to win this game, we are going to make this a not good time for the Blue Jays. I love the defensive intensity from Janai Broome and especially Dylan Cardwell down low. I think Dylan was probably one of the most underrated players of that game. Had an outstanding game on the defensive end, in my opinion. And then you mentioned Chad Baker-Mazara's resurgence, took over the start of that second half before going out with the injury, and then Tahad Pettiford down the stretch. This team looks like the team we saw in the non-con, where they want to put the nail in the coffin of every single team that they play, and I love that energy. I think Auburn is definitely going to need to keep it going forward.
Yeah, definitely, and you mentioned that spark, that they want to win mentality. That's actually something Chad Baker-Mazara told Denver Jones at halftime. He said, we're making the Sweet 16, and they relied on that through the game's entirety. Now, looking at the round of 32 game against Creighton, I think if Creighton got any other draw in any other region, they could be a Sweet 16 team. Micah, what impressed you the most about Auburn and their domination of Creighton in the second half?
Well, just the fact that the team didn't necessarily try to relax. This was a close game, and there was no attitude of, okay, we're the number 1 overall seed. We're going to find a way to win this game. They said, we're going to make sure we win this game. And they went after Creighton. There was a lot of talk from Stephen Ashworth and Jackson McAndrew of Creighton in the first game. There was a lot of, you can't guard me, after they drilled some threes. Well, guess what? Stephen Ashworth went 0 from the floor in the second half, and Jackson McAndrew didn't have that great of a time either. So the Auburn defense stepped up, especially on the perimeter. I was incredibly impressed. Love the intensity.
Yeah, I don't know that Ashford could have guarded you, Micah, so you might want to watch his mouth as we go forward. But next for Auburn, a good win against Creighton there. Now is the number 5 seed in the South region, the Michigan Wolverines. Dusty May and company won the Big Ten championship this season and have been hot since conference tournament play began. This game is filled to the brim with intriguing storylines. The main one being in Michigan's backcourt. The starting point guard for the Wolverines might just be a name Auburn fans remember, Trey Donaldson. Donaldson transferred from Auburn to Michigan in the offseason and has helped lead Michigan on a great run to this point. Here is Chaney Johnson after Saturday's win, talking about his feelings going up against his former teammate.
Hey, it's gonna be great. Trey gonna bring it. Trey's the dog. You know, it kind of hurt us a little bit when he transferred, but he was doing what was best for him, and we knew that. So you know, it's not gonna be no bad blood. But once we step between the lines, he's a winner, and we got winners on his team. So it's like we're just gonna have to go at it.
This Michigan team has plenty of familiar pieces to it. Trey Donaldson, Danny Wolf at the forward position, the big man for the Yale Bulldog squad that upset Auburn in last year's round of 64. Michigan has gone with a 2 big man look, very similar to that of Auburn. The lineups, they match up extremely well. Micah Farmer, you're back with us. Preview this matchup just a little bit more, Micah. What should the Auburn faithful watch out for most in this one?
Well, I think if you're Auburn, what you want to do in this game is try to neutralize Michigan down low. Danny Wolf, Vlad Golden are both excellent players. If you can get your defense playing well with Janai Broome and Dylan Cardwell, kind of make those 2 sets of 2 players cancel each other out, I like Auburn's advantage on the outside in this game. I like the shooting ability of Miles Kelly if Chad Baker-Mazara is hot. Denver Jones, I think, can make some big plays too, and then Tahad Pettiford. I like that set of 4 guards over Michigan's guards. I know Michigan led by Trey Donaldson, obviously, who will have experience against this Auburn system, but I like Auburn's perimeter more than Michigan's. I think down low, it's pretty much even between Janai and Dylan, and then Vlad Golden and Danny Wolf, so I think that's the key for Auburn. Get the ball outside, knock down some shots, try to win on the glass the best you can, because if you get lackadaisical on the glass at all in this game, you are going to get hammered by Michigan's bigs.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, and I think Auburn fans are praying Trey Donaldson didn't bring that playbook with him, or that could be trouble. The winner of this Michigan-Auburn Sweet 16 game will meet the winner of number 6 seed Ole Miss and number 2 seed Michigan State. Gary Gesch's pick from last week. Chris Beard and the Rebels remain one of the hottest programs in America after back-to-back impressive wins over North Carolina and Iowa State to open NCAA tournament play, but will face off against a Hall of Fame coach in Tom Izzo. Hard to pick against, and the Spartans with a trip to the Elite Eight on the line. Micah, when you look at this game, What do you think will be the difference?
I think defense is going to be the difference in this game. You've seen a red-hot Ole Miss team shooting-wise through the first couple games of the tournament. I think Michigan State manages to slow that down. I love the defense of this Spartan squad. You saw the gritty comeback they had to pull off versus Donovan Denton, New Mexico last weekend. I think if they get in a hole versus Ole Miss, they're going to be able to do the exact same thing. I think their defense is good enough. They have the shooting to come back in these type of games. They are a gritty, hard-nosed team. I really like the way they play. And Ole Miss, not a bad team at all. If they get hot, I definitely think they're dangerous. However, this stylistic matchup, I think, favors the Spartans a little bit.
Definitely two great dancers in this college basketball boogie. And while the championship hasn't been decided, the names for the individual honors have been released. On Monday, Bruce Pearl was named as a finalist for the Naismith Coach of the Year in college basketball, along with Duke's John Shire, St. John's Rick Pitino, and Houston's Kelvin Sampson. Best coach often calls for similar from his players, that guy being Janai Broome, who today was named one of the finalists for the Naismith Player of the Year award. Broome is joined by the likes of Florida's Walter Clayton Jr., Duke's Cooper Flagg, and Purdue's Braden Smith. Plenty of honors to look forward to amidst the madness. And if the fans can get it right and vote Bruce National Coach of the Year and Janai National Player of the Year, I think we should add one more name to that list. The Weatherman of the Year. Give it to Eagle Eye weather reporter Albert Osorio. He'll take the floor and show you all things weather in Auburn in just a moment. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn. I'm Albert Osorio, and here's your weather outlook for this week. Excitement is in the air in the ATL because Auburn basketball is going back to the Sweet 16 to face Michigan, and possibly the Elite 8 to face either Michigan State or Ole Miss at State Farm Arena. If you're taking the trip there, expect cloudy skies on Friday and some showers on Sunday with highs around 78 and lows around 57. If you can't make the trip, there is still a lot going on in the Plains this weekend. Women's tennis will play Oklahoma and Arkansas on Friday and Sunday, while the men will have their senior night against Arkansas on Saturday. Softball will also have a 3-game series against Florida from Friday to Sunday. The weekend in Auburn will see about the same temperatures and conditions in Atlanta, with Sunday seeing a potential rain delay in softball. So make sure to be dressed for the occasion when the time comes. That's all I have for your weather this week. When we come back, you will hear more from our anchors Vince, Brooks, Maddie, and Kegan. From Sports Night in Auburn, I'm Albert Osorio. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn. While men's basketball has been overflowing with updates, news, and wins, the women's program has been doing much of the same at the start of its offseason. Brooks Crew is here to talk Auburn's newest winning hire, and then Kegan Miller and Maddie Baughn will join us after that to talk all things in the game of bat and ball. Brooks, the hype is real right now with Auburn women's basketball. Talk to me, my friend.
Yeah, man. Auburn women's basketball wasted absolutely no time replacing their former head coach, Johnny Harris, as Sunday they announced Larry Vickers would be at the helm for the foreseeable future. Vickers has spent the last 10 years at Norfolk State, leading the Spartans to 3 consecutive conference championships and NCAA tournament appearances. Courtesy of Auburn Athletics on Instagram, here's what Vickers had to say in his first press conference as an Auburn Tiger.
Some of my core values, the reason why I'm sitting here today, is because we always try and focus on student-athlete experience. You know, we want our coaches, I said our coaches, excuse me, we want our players to work extremely hard on the floor, but we also want them to enjoy college as well. You know, the social piece, the athletic piece, and the academic piece. Championships are key. They're important. If we don't win championships, I'm telling you, all my hair is going to be gray. But we're going to look to win championships and look to put a quality product on the floor. Innovation. You know, sometimes I think one thing about it being a 42-year-old head coach, I started at 33, is sometimes you see people run the same stuff. You know, people play the same defenses. I think one thing you'll like about our teams coming up in the future is we're going to do a lot of different stuff.
The Spartans were 177-99 under Vickers, and he'll look to make the same positive impact on his new Tigers. Now, over to Maddie for some swim and dive.
Last week, the women's swim and dive team took a trip to Washington for the NCAA championship, where 11 of our women Tigers competed in the pool on the 19th through the 22nd. The team came in 35th, but clinched 5 honorable mention All-American titles. The 200 free relay team took 14th place with a time of 1:27.63. The relay team of Lexi Mulvihill, Lisa Klavanovich, Polina Nevmovinko, and Laura Komarochi all received honorable All-American. On the platform, Emily Halifax finished in 13th with a score of 293.70 for an honorable All-American as well. Congratulations to the women's team for a great finish to the 2025 season. Starting on the 26th, the men's swim and dive team will head to their NCAA championships. Check back next Wednesday for more on their competition. Talking the Diamond, here's Kegan with the Baseball Tigers.
The now 11th ranked Auburn baseball opened last week with the same team basketball did in the tournament, Alabama State. The Tigers took care of their midweek business 13-9 and gave head coach Butch Thompson his 300th win here on the Plains. Hopefully, there are 300 more in the tank for good old Butch. Now it's time to go to the weekend series against number 24 Kentucky. And to be honest, I could talk about each of these games for the entire length of the show, but I don't think the producer would be pleased. So I'll just hit the most important pieces. This series highlighted 2 things for the Orange and Blue: their ability to dig deep, find an extra gear, and win baseball games. But it also highlighted small mistakes that could cost this team in some big close games later down the road. Let's start with Game 1. This was a full team win. Auburn's offense did an excellent job getting deep into counts and getting on base early in the inning. 4 of their 6 runs came from leadoff batters. The Tigers also flashed some old school small ball, bunting against the shift to force defenders out of position later in the game, which proved to be huge in the 9th inning. Speaking of the 9th inning, this was an interesting one. The Tigers came to the plate down 2 runs, but after a leadoff single from Cooper McMurray and a double from Chase Freilich, the game was tied. And with 2 outs, Freilich still at second, Ike Irish popped up to the shortstop, who dropped the ball. And with Freilich moving on contact, well, that's all she wrote, and the Tigers held on to win 8-7. Game 2 was a very similar type of game than Game 1. That couldn't even be decided in 9 innings, though, and they had to go to extras. While I did like the fight and tenacity the team showed, going to extras is a little bit of a disappointment from the Tigers. You see, they had a 4-run lead going into the 9th, and after a number of wild pitches and a few hits strung together, the game was tied. Ike Irish, however, seemed to find his groove in this game, where he homered twice, including the go-ahead and winning home run in the 11th, so that is very good news for Auburn's offense moving forward. Kentucky bounced back, however, and shut out the Tigers in Game 3, 6-0, and only allowed the Tigers to 2 hits total for the whole 9 innings. The Tigers are playing their annual game at Riverwalk against South Alabama tonight and will look to bounce back, and will also travel again this weekend, this time to play their rival, number 2, Georgia. Back to Maddie, where she has your softball updates.
In a home test against South Alabama, last Wednesday, Auburn softball found a way to come back from a 5-run deficit. This comeback win marked the 14th comeback of the year. Falling to the Jaguars in the 5th inning, Anna Wallers picked up her 7th home run of the season with a grand slam to tie the game. Clinching the win in the 7th, Annalie Adams claims the walk-off with a single home run that made the final 7-6. The Malvoisin team finished the week with a trip to Texas to face the Longhorns for an SEC weekend series. The Longhorns held Auburn to 5 innings for the series opener in a 12-2 final. In Saturday's game, the Tigers got out early, keeping Texas scoreless until the 4th. Unable to keep this pace alive, Auburn falls in a final of 7-5 and hands the series win to the Longhorns. The series finale featured another 5-inning game with a final of 13-2 that left Auburn winless in Texas. The Tigers are now 0-9 in SEC play as they host Florida for a series Friday through Sunday. But first, the Tigers take on a midweek matchup at Troy on Wednesday.
The indoor track and field end-of-season awards are upon us, and Auburn is, of course, no stranger to the top, sweeping 3 crucial categories. For starters, Ken Harnden opened things up for the Tigers with his Assistant Coach of the Year award. Then, Auburn earned a Freshman Runner of the Year, courtesy of Israel Okon, who's taken the track and field world by storm in his first campaign with the Tigers. Finally, and we all knew it was coming, but Micah has taken down the SEC Runner of the Year award. Congrats to the Tigers on a great indoor season, and, well, thanks for the trophies for the recruiting case. Tiger track and field isn't done yet, though, no, as the outdoor season is now upon us. The Tigers began the outdoor season last Friday with the Yellow Jacket Invitational. Eagle Eye's Lucas Hazelrig has more.
Hi, my name is Lucas Hazelrig, and I am here at the Griffin Track in Atlanta, Georgia, home of the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, as well as the site of the Auburn Tigers' first outdoor track and field meet of the season.
Day one of the Yellow Jacket Invitational kicked off a wildly successful season opener for the Tigers after the quick turnaround from the Indoor National Championships less than a week ago, where the men's team took third place overall. Other than Auburn and Georgia Tech, the meet hosted teams such as Georgia, Missouri, the University of Connecticut, and Kennesaw State, amongst others. The meet began for the Tigers with senior John Murray throwing for 54.69 meters on his first attempt on the men's javelin, placing him 5th overall amongst all of the men's javelin throwers. Following Murray's throws, a school record-shattering performance by Auburn junior Megan Haig came on her second attempt in the women's shot put when she threw for 17.7 meters, topping the previous record set all the way back in 2016 by Valentina Muzaric. This performance won her the event, but she wasn't alone in the top two, as she was joined by freshman Cameron Massey as she threw for 15.28 meters herself. The two women would be the only two competitors to throw for over 15 meters on day one and have set the tone early for a season with already high expectations. The pairing of Haig and Massey will be a pair to watch not just this season, but for years to come, as the SEC is loaded with women's throwing talent. Later on, All-African Games gold medalist freshman Asande Mthembu placed 4th overall, jumping 6.8 meters. Asande also spoke with me about the transition into his freshman season and how the team is dealing with the expectations now that the indoor season is in the books.
This season, I think transitioning in, it's been interesting. Lots of expectations from the group. Everybody's doing well, so you have to keep up with everybody. Obviously, coming in with new coaches, I have a lot of new stuff to learn from high school to college, from South Africa to America. So I think that's it for me. For me. After the indoor season, I think everybody's hyped. Everybody's looking good. Some are looking even better. Like I said, we got 3rd indoor nationals. So I think probably coming outside, we want to do a little bit better than that. Maybe a lot better than that, and come out with something.
To no surprise, Florida transfer Tyler Davis was the champion of the Yellow Jacket Invitational men's 100-meter dash with an official time of 10.46 seconds. And as a senior, Davis no doubt has his eyes set on gold this year and is already off to a red-hot start. The final event was the 5K, and this event saw 2 Auburn women finish in the top 4. Senior Hallie Porterfield running a 16:45 and sophomore Audrey Dunn running a 16:48 was a great end to a strong performance by the Tigers as a whole on day one. During the day, Auburn head coach Leroy Burrell was gracious enough to join me to express his excitement about his promising and championship-hopeful team.
We're just trying to get them ready. We feel like we've got a real good group of athletes, a talented group of athletes that can contend for a national championship. We're trying to find a few more bullets that we can fire at it. So that's what this is all about, trying to get those kids ready. We'll have a couple bigger, more notable competitions here within the next couple weeks, and this is a way to prepare them for those bigger competitions.
For Eagle Eye TV, I'm Lucas Hazelrig.
Up next for the Tigers outdoor team is the Terry Long FSU Relays that will be held this coming Thursday and Friday.
Brooks, we love trophies in the trophy case, and we're going to get us another one before we head to break here with some trivia. We're talking wins, we're talking awards. Which Auburn athlete was just recently named SEC Scholar Athlete of the Year? A, Brendan Valdez, B, KK McCray, C, Sophia Groff, or D, there's no way it's this dude, Dylan Cardwell. We'll have the answer when we return. Welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn. We have the answer to the trivia question we left you with before the break. Which Auburn athlete was just recently named SEC Scholar Athlete of the Year? The correct answer is letter C, Sophia Groff. Groff graduated from Auburn last May with a degree in exercise science and has been working towards her master's in adult administration with a perfecto 4.0 GPA. What a stud. In her 4 years at Auburn, she will have earned 2 degrees, and this SEC Scholar Athlete of the Year honor is the first for Groff, but it's Auburn's 3rd straight winner. It marks Auburn's 9th Scholar Award from the SEC, which actually gives Auburn the most of any school in gymnastics. She's competed in all but 1 meet this season for the Orange and Blue on floor, bars, and beam. Congratulations, Sophia. She has been dominating. Brooks' crew has been dominating. A lot more winning is on the way for Auburn gymnastics, Brooks.
Folks, I think our producer, JoJo Cavanagh, feels bad for giving me all the losing teams my last time up here because, man, has she given me the fun job tonight. That's right. I'm here to talk more Tigers who have gone above and beyond, garnering national recognition. And this time, I want to talk about the trivia answer herself, Sophia Groff. SEC Scholar Athlete of the Year. Now, I know a lot of us watching and all of us here are students who know how hard it can be to balance work and life. But then, here comes Sophia Groth, putting my 75 in freshman exploration, sorry Mom, to shame, all while leading Tiger Gymnastics to an amazing season. Not bad for the former All-SEC gymnast. Speaking of the SEC, the gymnastics team spent last Saturday at the 2025 SEC Championships. Our own Sophia Weber has more.
In the world of women's collegiate gymnastics, the SEC stands on its own. All 8 teams represented at the SEC Championships rank in the top 15 nationally.
The postseason is here for the sport of gymnastics, and the Auburn faithful made the short trip to Birmingham, Alabama to support the Lady Tigers. Starting on beam, Marissa Neal scored a 9.85 with a slight separation of her feet on this dismount. The University of Georgia squad received their best team score on the uneven bars, scoring 49.2. The University of Alabama won the first session of the SEC Championships, their best team score coming on vault with a 49.3. The Auburn Tigers saw their highest scores during their floor routines for the second week in a row. Gabby McLaughlin with a 9.875. Rounding out the apparatus was senior Sophia Groth, who had the Tigers' best score of the night on any routine with a 9.9. Paige Zancan had another strong week on the vault, earning a 9.85. However, the Auburn Tigers suffered 3 falls in their last 2 rotations, bringing their team scores for both uneven bars and vault below 49. The University of Kentucky had no athlete below a 9.8 on the floor routine and finished with a team score of 49.425.
Alex Irving caught this blind grab and clinched herself a 9.875 on uneven bars. The Tigers tied for 3rd in Session 1 of the SEC Championships.
That's all for the first session in Birmingham, where the Auburn Tigers finished with a score of 195.95. For Eagle Eye TV, I'm Sophia Weber.
Up next for the Tigers is the NCAA Regionals in Seattle, where Auburn has earned a 15 seat.
The past 2 days, men's golf traveled to Palm City, Florida for the Valspar Collegiate, led by sophomore Jackson Coyven, who shot 11 under and found an individual 4th place finish. The Tigers were able to secure a top 5 placement after the final round today. The team had a score of 20 under par to finish 5th. Carson Baca, Brendan Valdez, and Josiah Gilbert all had under par finishes as well. A few Tigers also competed at the Mobile Bay Intercollegiate, where Caden Pope secured a 3rd place finish, Billy Davis in 4th, and Reed Lauder in 6th. Next up on the green, Auburn will travel to Franklin, Tennessee for the Mason Rudolph Championship starting April 4th.
Man, let's keep the JoJo Giving Me Award winners good vibes rolling here, because Auburn Golf's Anna Davis just claimed, an individual tournament win along with a program record for lowest score. Casual stuff. Jokes aside, though, folks, Super Anna Davis carded 6 under in her final round of the Charles Schwab Women's Collegiate Invitational in Fort Worth, Texas, solidifying a 54-hole score of 9 under, the lowest in program history. And that was, of course, enough to secure an individual win for the sister of fellow Auburn golfer Billy Davis, 2-time SEC Freshman of the Week. Pretty impressive golf family right there. The Tigers are officially done with regular season play, and they will head out in April to Bel Air, Florida for the SEC Championship.
On to the court, the number 8 women's tennis team had a winning weekend at home as they hosted Vanderbilt on Friday and Missouri on Sunday. Friday's match featured a 6-1 win over the Commodores with a shutout from the singles lineup that clinched all of Auburn's points. Sunday's matchup against Missouri followed the same pace with 2 doubles wins to take the doubles point and 3 singles matches to secure the win over the Mizzou Tigers. Next up for the women's team, a Friday match hosting Oklahoma at home before traveling to Arkansas on Sunday.
Auburn men's tennis secured a pair of strong wins this week, including a 4-3 win over Kentucky on Thursday. Eagle Eye's Vivian Kennell has more.
Auburn men's tennis kept fans on the edge of their seats Thursday, March 20th, with a wild finish against the University of Kentucky. It all came down to one final match. Auburn gave the home crowd a thriller, edging out Kentucky in a 4-3 battle to stay undefeated at home this season. The Tigers fell behind early after Kentucky locked down the doubles point with wins on courts 2 and 3. Auburn's top duo was still battling when the point was decided. But junior Billy Blades wasted no time turning things around. He came back against number 74 Jaden Weeks 6-1, 6-2 in just over an hour to level the score. Then came a tense win from freshman Joey Phillips, who dug deep to take a dramatic tiebreak before sealing the second set 6-3. Moments later, Alex Brusina knocked off number 49 Jack Laudit in straight sets, putting Auburn just one singles win away from clinching the match. The deciding point? Nicholas Hang versus Eli Stevenson. Hang dropped the first set and trailed 4-2 in the third, but stormed back, winning 5 of the last 6 games to clinch the 4-3 win and spark a massive on-court celebration. Auburn moves to 14-6 overall and undefeated 11-0 at home. The Tigers host Tennessee and Alabama A&M this Saturday, March 22nd, in a doubleheader. For Eagle Eye TV, this is Vivian Kennell.
The Tigers took on the 19th-ranked Tennessee Volunteers 2 days later, but fell 4-3. But Auburn wasted no time bouncing back, as the very same day they absolutely obliterated Alabama A&M 4-1. Up next for the Tigers is their final home match, which doubles as Senior Day. It'll be played against Arkansas this coming Saturday.
After a break from competing, Auburn Equestrian heads to the SEC Championships on March 28th as the number 1 ranked team. Last week, Auburn riders received both NCEA awards and SEC honors. Avery Glenn was named NCEA Rider of the Month for her efforts in fences, where she remained undefeated in the month of March, received 2 Most Outstanding Performer awards, and was able to score a 90 in fences on the road. Along with this honor, Glenn was also named SEC Rider of the Month. Alexia Tordoff also received an NCEA Rider of the Month for her efforts in horsemanship. Tordoff was undefeated in March, received 1 MOP, and had a score of 77.5 on the road. Tordoff also was named SEC Rider of the Month for reining with 2 MOPs in this event. The SEC Equestrian Championships will be held Friday and Saturday in Mill Spring, North Carolina.
Auburn Volleyball has announced the first slate of their spring schedule. The Tigers started things off with an Iron Bowl, crazy, I know, on Saturday as they prepare for a 4-game slate this Saturday against Georgia Tech, East Tennessee State, Georgia Southern, and UGA.
Brooks, Maddie, thank you very much. And before we head to break here, we're going to go to some trivia. We've been talking college basketball. We're going to keep that trend up with our trivia question. What is the record for the most Sweet 16 teams from a single conference? Letter A, 6. Letter B, 4. Letter C, 8. Or letter D, 7. We'll have the answer when we come back. Welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn. Don't worry, we've got the answer to the trivia question we left you with before the break. What is the record for most Sweet 16 teams from a single conference? The correct answer is letter D, 7. This record was broken this year by none other than the Southeastern Conference. This year's Sweet 16 features 7 SEC teams with Auburn, Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Ole Miss, and John Calipari. The record that stood previously was from the ACC in 2016, over 9 years ago when it had 6 teams in the Sweet 16. The ACC didn't win in 2016. Micah Farmer actually did, but instead it went home with Villanova and the Big East, defeating North Carolina, the Tar Heels, and Marcus Page on a buzzer beater. Now, the buzzer is sounded on the football offseason as the team got back to spring practice this week. Head coach Hugh Freeze has a whole new group, a whole new vibe, and an entirely fresh slate entering the 2025 season. And that season starts with A-Day. Check this out. A-Day, a little bit different this year. It's not just a game in Jordan-Hare Stadium. It's going to start with a Tiger Trail introduction at 9 a.m., an alumni flag football game at 11 a.m., and instead of a game itself, A-Day is going to be a spring practice this year. Fans get an inside look on what an Auburn football practice looks like at noon, and then after that, it's autographs, fanfare, and all kind of student-athlete action the rest of the afternoon. So a fun day for A-Day this year. A little different than it usually is, but hey, we're okay with different. And with fresh faces on the practice field now, that means the old heads are gone. Where are they off to? Auburn Pro Day. Micah Farmer followed this Auburn football Pro Day like a hawk and has all the updates right here, right now. Micah, talk to me.
Yeah, Vince, solid pro day overall for Auburn. This is usually just a way for NFL scouts to be able to come in for guys that maybe weren't invited to the combine, or even some that were, to still be able to just show off their skills over the day, and it can be really good for some guys. Remember the infamous Zach Wilson pro day throw the year he was drafted, and then bad for some guys. Look at the 40 that Xavier Restrepo ran yesterday. But overall, solid performance from the Auburn guys. I don't think it really moved their draft stock too much in either direction, but did enough to still, I think the guys that are draftable before, still draftable now, probably positives overall in my opinion. But that's pretty much it. Pro day pretty chill this year. Send it back to you.
Micah, you're a lock for the first round in my book. And from one pro to another, NFL to NBA, a former Auburn alum found his way back to the league from the G and took the floor this week in Philadelphia.
Yeah, Chuma Okeke is back signed with the 76ers. We continue to follow his year-long odyssey of G League to NBA to G League to NBA. Hopefully he manages to make it stick this time because, Vince, as you know, the 76ers are terrible.
They are. That is my team, and I am not proud of it right now. One thing I am proud of, though, actually kind of not really, because we're going to go back, trending Tigers here, and take a look at last week. And the picks we made, maybe that we regret, with it being the first NCAA tournament since 2008 that the number 1 through 4 seeds have not lost in the round of 64. A tough one for us. Check it out.
Give me the Michigan State Spartans. They got the Garrett Gesh guarantee this weekend.
My guarantee is number 1 seed Florida over Norfolk State. My upset for the first weekend is 13 seed High Point, over 4 seed Purdue. I think Purdue comes in a bit overrated.
Well, for me, my upset pick, Vince, is the Zips of Akron. They take Arizona out in the first round. I'm thinking about them in the Sweet 16. We'll see.
Why don't you go ahead and give me UNC Wilmington over Texas Tech in that first round?
My unpopular pick, and it's only that because I've seen everyone predicting the opposite. For some reason, everyone loves McNeese again as the 12 seed. McNeese is not moving on. They don't match up well with Clemson. The Tigers move on. They beat McNeese.
A lot of people like BYU as their sleeper team to make it to the Final Four. Not for me. First round exits. It's VCU. The 11 seed moves on.
I got Omaha beating St. John's in the first round. Johnny's going down to the O. Goodness. I mean, guys, come on. This is supposed to be fun. You made that seem horrible.
Hey, High Point was close.
Okay, not close enough. This week we're going to have a better odds, though. Here we go. We're going to do a guaranteed pick and an unpopular pick.
Because it went so well last time.
Because it went so well last time, we're going to redeem ourselves. Maybe not you, but we are.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, you're welcome.
Garrick did so bad they fired him and replaced him with me.
Yeah.
Guaranteed pick. Second weekend of the NCAA tournament. You know what, Micah? I'm going to start with you. Redeem yourself.
All right. I'm going to start with Houston. I think Houston's got it over Purdue. I like the Cougars to move on. Based on how last week went, if you're at home, you're doing one of those second chance brackets, maybe fill in Purdue. But I think Houston is a lock to move on to the Elite Eight.
All right, Brooks, what are we thinking? Guaranteed pick for...
I gotta take Michigan State. I mean, they've got the defense. If they can shut down Ole Miss, like our good friend Michael Farmer over there was saying earlier, I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot of world in which Ole Miss is able to stop that. The Fighting Garrigs in Michigan State.
Yeah, Micah's cousin Sean Padula is hoping that he can try to reverse that.
I have the headband too.
My guaranteed pick for the weekend, I think, based off this analysis this guy gave us earlier, give me Auburn, the 1 seed overall, to advance to the Elite Eight. Now, the unpopular picks. Now, guys, this is where we stood at the plate. We missed 3 straight here. 3 up, 3 down. We were done. Unpopular pick, weekend number 2 in the NCAA tournament is?
I'm going to stay in the Midwest region. Give me Kentucky over Tennessee. I know they did it twice in the regular season. Hard to beat a team 3 times. I think Kentucky does it. Lamont Butler is back. He's healthy. Give me the Wildcats.
Brooks, who we thinking? Unpopular pick.
And this is about as unpopular as it gets. I mean, y'all saw Caleb Love's face when they asked him about Duke. I choose to think that was a look of just excitement, ready to take on the challenge that is this Cooper Flagg-led team. But give me Arizona over Duke.
I like that pick, and I'm going to stay in your region
Let's
with
do it.
my unpopular pick. Alabama this, Alabama that. Give me BYU.
Come on!
Brigham Young with the upset. We're going to bring them in to the Elite Eight, and hopefully, man, we'll see if they can make a quick trip to the Final Four with a first-year head coach. How about that? That's who I'm going with. Alabama going down in the second round. Now, I might have the worst hate from the Alabama fans here. If Auburn loses, that's my guaranteed pick. And if Alabama wins, I'm in a tough spot. That's a problem for next week. For this week, this has been Sports Night in Auburn. Make sure you follow our Eagle Eye TV Sports Instagram and subscribe to our Eagle Eye YouTube page to keep up with us throughout this action-packed month of March. For my awesome team, for these guys, for Maddie, for Kegan, our producer JoJo Cavanagh, I'm Vince Wolfram. We'll see you next week. Good night and War Eagle.